Hello and welcome to Once Driven Forever Smitten. My name is Dougie Rankin, and tonight we're going to be doing a slightly different episode, one we've not done so far. I'm going to be picking out 5 of my favourite retro Vauxhalls which are sale online at the moment. I'd had a look to see what was out there today, as I do regularly, and posted about it on YouTube and Instagram, and there was quite a lot of interest, people saying, yeah, I would like to hear some more on that and hear your viewpoint. So if this style of video proves to be reasonably popular, maybe we can make it a bit of a regular thing. So let's kick off and have a look at these cars. I have selected a Corsa, a Cavalier, an Astra, what else is there on there? A Vectra, and there's an Omega in there as well. In fact, I think it might actually be 6 cars in total. Okay, so first up is the smallest car on the list. I found a Corsa B. Now there's a couple of these online at the moment, both 5 doors. The other one, which I didn't include in this, was a 1.2 automatic CDX, which actually has air conditioning. I'm pretty fascinated by old Vauxhalls. They've got air conditioning, so that one did appeal to me, but I had to go for this one. It's a Corsa GLS 1.5 turbo diesel. Now, anybody who's into Vauxhalls will know that 1.5 TD and the 1.7 are fantastic engines. The 1.5 TD was first introduced into the Nova in 1990, and it was a real pocket rocket. These things went so well, and it transferred over into the Corsa just as nicely. It's 67 horsepower. Can't remember what the torque is off the top, but these things are brilliant. They'll rocket away up to speed. The in-gear acceleration's great on them, and they'll sit down 90 happily all day. You'll get over 100 miles an hour out one. I'm quite fortunate in that I've owned 2 Nova 1.5 turbo diesels. Unfortunately, they were both very rotten. I did put the engine out one into a combo van, which didn't work out. I had all sorts of problems with that, and I ended up getting rid of it. But having another one does definitely appeal to me. Now, this one here has 1 day, 21 hours to go, so it'll be finished by the time this video comes out. It's at £605 reserve not met. Now, this has only done 82,000 miles, which is very low mileage for a 1.5 TD Isuzu engine. They have got timing belts on them, but they're easy enough to do, and I think you need to get the valve clearances set in them now and again. There's not a lot to say in the description. Very good condition for a 26-year-old car, all Goog tyres. MOT until 5th of September 2022. It's got a very long MOT on it, a couple of stone chips on the bonnet. You know, this has actually got me sweating this. It's a 5-door, which is extra practical. The 5-door wasn't as liked as much because it's got that kind of bulbous back end on it, but like anything that's a little bit unusual, like I say, like the Nova Saloon wasn't considered cool at the time, but I think these have dated well. The GLS Vauxhall were notoriously mean with the standard specifications on the Corsa B, so even though it's a GLS, it's got windy windows in the front. It does have a rev counter because it's a turbo diesel, and it's got some nice kind of soft velour seats in it. This is a car that I like a lot. I would be very curious to find out what the reserve is on it. I don't want to go and ask him because I'll get a proper sweat on and want to buy it. And you know what's even worse is it's only in Consett, which is in the north of England. So yeah, these things will do 50 miles to the gallon as well. And the cherry on top is that you can adjust the fuel pump up on these to get more power out them off the bat. You can adjust the boost as well to get more power out them. You can fit an intercooler easy. And there's people who've gone to quite great extents with these cars over the years. Because you had the 1.5 in the Corsa and the Nova, and then you had the 1.7, which was in the Cavalier, the Mark III Astra, and also the early Vectra B had it as well. I had a Cavalier 1.7 turbo diesel, and there's actually a story about that for another time, which I bought right at the start of 2019, and it's now in Northern Ireland now, going strong. It was dragged out a garden in London. But yeah, the 1.7 TD is fantastic. It'll run on chip fat as well. These things, fantastic on fuel, great fun to drive, and this one's cheap as well. Not too many of these about. So yeah, that's a definite one to consider. £605 at the moment. We don't know what the reserve is, but I can't imagine it'll be all that high on it. So yep, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next one on the list is a Cavalier. Surprise, surprise. You know, well, I like Cavaliers, but sometimes when you go online these days, there aren't very many of them for sale, and there aren't too many interesting ones. By interesting, I mean anything with a 2 litre engine and it upwards. The smaller engine ones don't appeal to me as much, apart from if I was going to use one for resale purposes. Although I would quite like to build a Cavalier, quite a low spec one with the 1.6 multi-point engine that you got in the Mark III Astra. But that's just a really nerdy project, which I'm not going to get into at the moment. This Cavalier here is a GLS automatic hatch. 2 litre engine in it on an L registration. One of the first facelift ones with an airbag in it. Now the GLS on the facelift you've got electric front windows, electric mirrors, you'll have the rev counter there, the velour seats. Now this car looks promising. It looks promising straight away because it's got all its original wheel trims on it, even though they are held on with cable ties, which is probably why they are still there. That's always a sign that a car's not had too much of a hard life. Now, in the past, a few years ago, I would have been like, automatic, no way, no way. But in recent years, I think it's due to driving so many automatic trucks, I've really warmed to them. And Vauxhall's 4-speed automatic gearbox that they fitted in the Mark III Cavalier, Mark III Astra onwards is excellent. It's a really good transmission. It's got wide spaced ratios on it, so you've got really relaxed cruising speed on the motorway. It's got a sport mode which will lock fourth gear out, so it'll run all the way up in third gear, and it's got a winter mode in it as well. There's also the option to shift manually should you wish to do so. So they're a really smooth, easy to work transmission. The Cavalier 2 litre, the NE lends itself really well to the auto box as well. It produces maximum torque, 2,600 RPM, and there's a really broad spread of low and mid-range torque, which suits the automatic and the lazier nature of it really, really well. I had initially thought when I looked at this car that it might have the blue interior. There were a few Cavaliers made in the facelift with blue, but this one doesn't. It has the light grey, which is the same as what's now in my Cavalier CD. It looks to me that the car is spectral blue. If we have a look here, we'll bring up some big photos of it. Can we? Is it going? Oh no, it's going to want to zoom in this one. Yeah, it looks spectral blue to me, which is one of Vauxhall's nicest colours. It's got surface rust on the sills. So if we get to that now, if we were successful in purchasing the car, then we would be able to salvage those arches. It's got no 2 litre I badge on the back, which I like, because back in the day, if it only said Cavalier on the back of it, then that meant it was only a 1.6 litre on the facelift cars. On the pre-facelift, if it said Cavalier or Cavalier L, it would mean it was either a 1.4 or a 1.6. So that basically it was for the sales reps. They didn't want to shout about having a lower powered or a smaller engined car, so it just kept quiet about it. This one's had the badge removed, so I wonder if somebody did that back when the car was quite new, so you could catch people out with it, because they would be thinking that's only a 1600, but of course then you unleash the might of the 115 horsepower C20 NE on them. If we look now at let's have a look at the interior as well. That all looks pretty clean in there. There's no cigarette burns on the seat. The seat bolster hasn't collapsed. It does have that big chunky airbag wheel, which nobody likes. I remember back in the day what car were saying that a Cavalier with the 3-spoke non-airbag wheel, which is one of the best steering wheels ever made. If you know, you know. They said that it was worth less with that steering wheel, but you'll actually find these days that it's more desirable and it could potentially add a little bit of value to a car. But that's absolutely no issue whatsoever. I can't see if it's got the standard radio in it. But what else do you get in a GLS? You get the nice chrome strips on it. You don't get body coloured mirrors. You've got to get a CD to get that. You get the backboard with the extended reflectors on it. And overall, I think this would be a strong contender as well. Recently serviced, MOT till August 22. The mileage is only 79,500. This car could go on forever. It's only got 2 previous owners. Where is it located? It's located in Ockham. Ockham? Let's find out where Ockham is. Ockham is in Surrey, which is about as far away as you could get for me. But as you know, I'm the sort of person that likes to drive from John O'Groats to Land's End non-stop. And I've got friends and family down in the south of England. So if it did take my fancy to go and get this car, it wouldn't be a problem. What's also important to note as well when you're buying old Vauxhalls is that the ones from down south are far less ravaged by the salt and the climate, as you will have seen from the video of the welding I've done on my Cavalier CD recently. It needed a lot of work. And you find that the cars from down south like this one, I would be pretty confident that it really only does have a bit of surface rust on the arches, and underneath it will be nice and all dry and grey and solid. So yeah, £560, 17 bids on it. It's got 7 days, 23 hours to go. It's a fair old time yet. I would imagine that this should represent really good value for money because the automatics don't make as much money as the manuals, and also the GLS is nowhere near as desirable as an SRI is. If I was to buy this car, what would I do with it? As I've already mentioned, I'm a big fan of making Vauxhall cars, making models that Vauxhall didn't do, and I would be very tempted to go and fit a 20XE engine into that, put the red top on it to see how that runs with the automatic. I bet it's really good because I know how well running the wide ratio F16 gearbox turned out on my CD. That's a brilliant combination, and I wouldn't change that for an F20 for any amount of money. Realistically, of course, nobody's going to offer me a ton of money to go and change a gearbox in a Cavalier. The F20 does obviously give advantages in acceleration, as we will find with the Mark III Astra Saloon when we get that on the road, because it's probably going to run the F20 or an F16 gearbox perhaps. But yeah, I would like to see what an XE goes like on an automatic gearbox, or perhaps even a C20 LET. That would be an interesting option. So yeah, another one there, well under £1,000. That probably won't go for over 1,000. But yeah, Cavalier GLS automatic, smooth, comfortable, easy to live with. That's going to be reliable. That car's going to last you for years. It's not going to depreciate. You know, that is a car that you could run for 2 or 3 years and sell it for more than you paid for it. Right, on to number 3. Okay, on to car number 3. Like the Cavalier GLS, this one's only just been listed, and it's a Mark III Astra, also a GLS. This one's on a K registration, and I've got to say, this is an absolute cracker. The Mark III Astra came out on the J registration, so this is one of the earlier models. Satin red 2-coat pearlescent metallic. It's a 5-door, and again it's got the original wheel trims on it. The early Mark III Astras were nowhere near as well rust-proofed as the facelift ones, so it's excellent to see this early model in such good condition. As you can see, the arches are rock solid on this car. It looks like they've never been touched at all. Now, the Astra GLS, again, in fact, we've had 3 GLSs in a row actually. The Corsa was the same. The Astra doesn't have a particularly high specification, but it's not bad. It's got everything that you need. We've got some nice, lovely grey velour seats in it. We've got electric front windows. We've got electric front mirrors. We have got a rev counter, which is good. Quite a number of Mark III Astras didn't come with them. We've got a 2-spoke non-airbag steering wheel in this car. It's a little bit basic, but it's nicer than the airbag wheel in my opinion, and it's easier to change in another non-airbag wheel because the surround, like the bezel, is the same, is correct for the steering wheel. The airbag one isn't interchangeable, so you've got to go raking for one of them or find one from another car. Now, as we look here, straight away, this car has got a pile of MOT certificates with it. It's obviously been very well looked after, and this hasn't had a hard life at all. It looks like the boot hasn't had anything in the back of it. Just look at that. That is showroom condition, that. Now, it's at £1,000 starting bid at the moment. And unlike the other two cars, this one does have quite a bit of detail in the description. Here we have a 1993 Vauxhall Astra 1.6 GLSI, which I'm selling on behalf of my neighbour, who is only selling his finally given up driving due to advancing years. Now, these are the cars that you want. Everybody knows this. The car that's been looked after meticulously by an old age pensioner who's just decided to get rid of it. This car has only 3 previous owners from new, and it's got a genuine 66,727 miles on it. Tilt and slide sunroof. It says with a polish and engine wash it would be in show condition. This car is truly classic and ready to go. Now, this is another positive thing, which you don't always see with cars owned by older people. No dents or scratches, because sometimes, obviously, you can find they get parking dings in them and things like that, little scrapes in the bumpers. It just gets better and better. This car has been in my neighbour's family for 24 years and has been very well looked after, being garaged at all times. Oh. It has been regularly serviced, always MOT'd, and there is no rust. I mean, that's what you want to hear. He's not saying there's no rust apart from, there's just simply no rust. The local garage collected it in November and carried out an MOT, passing it with no advisories. It's MOT'd until the 25th of November 2022. This is truly an exceptional find for the right new owner. No offers please, as this will go to auction end. The car is cash on collection, and this is obviously a collect in person only. The car can be viewed before bidding. Just call me and we can fix a day stroke time. Good luck with the bidding. It's in Rochester. Now, Rochester, I believe, is in Kent. Rochester. It is in Kent. Wonder how far away Ockham is. Oh, Ockham is right beside Woking. That's right beside where Pete used to live before he went to Singapore. I will tell you right now, if Pete was still in Woking, he would be getting sent right now to go and get that Cavalier. As it stands, Ockham and Rochester are only 56 miles away. Oh, I can't afford these cars. And also, well, I mean, technically I could afford them. I don't have the space and I don't have the time. I've got loads of other projects to be getting on with, including my 4-wheel drive Cavalier GSI, Kenzo's 4-wheel drive Cavalier Turbo, the Vectra C that doesn't move. Yeah, you know the rest. I can't be buying any more Vauxhalls at the moment. You see the torture I'm putting myself through doing this for you. Does anybody want to buy a Vauxhall for me or store it for me? But yeah, let's get back to this Astra again. Where are we? 1993. Yes, so the GLSI Astra itself. Now, the Mark III Astras, when they launched, came with the 1.6 8-valve multi-point engine, 100 horsepower, same engine used as in the Nova GSI. It's an absolute gem of an engine. They love to rev. The rally boys really liked them. They were never used in the Cavalier. The Cavalier went back to the big block engine on the facelift, 75 horsepower. Not an interesting thing in any way, shape or form. This 1600 multi-point goes so well, really lively engine, and it works so well in the Astra. This car, as it sits, would be absolutely superb. It would be spot on, as you know. Keep it as a classic. Keep it in the garage. Take it out to shows. But a fantastic thing for like the Festival of Unexceptional and things. That is definitely an option for it. What would you do, Dougie, if you were going to get it? You may well ask. Well, I shall tell you. What I would do with this car. I would remove the engine for it? You see, because I would like the engine for something else. I would like to do a 1600 multi-point project in another car. as I said before, it's a really nerdy thing. I want to get like a Cavalier Envoy or 1.6 LS and put that 1.6 multi-point engine in it, just to find out, just because that was the car that Vauxhall should have built, and it should have been sold alongside the Mondeo when it came out, to give it a bit more go against the multi-valve engines until the Ecotechs came in, which they also never fitted in the Cavalier, which I'm going off on a tangent there. I would probably get... I have got a set of Cavalier SRI Recaro front seats, and what I would do, I would take those beautiful velour front seats to the local trimmer, and I would get him to put that fabric in the middle of the Cavalier SRI seats so they were matching front and back. And then I would contemplate what engine I was going to put in that car. Tell you what I would do. If I was to get this, I would run it as the 1600 for a year, and then once we had finished with the Astra Saloon, which is only going to last a year because it's a bit of a shed really, I would take the C20XE engine out that, and then I would fit it into this Astra GLS using a 6-speed F28 gearbox. So I've got this lovely, comfortable, but fast sleeper Astra. That's what I think I would do with this, because I would like to get a year of enjoyment out of it while it was standard with that engine in it. And of course, doing that with the engine, you could easily put it back to standard. And I actually sort of take back what I said about changing those seats to Recaro as well, because I've just remembered how comfortable those standard seats were in my Cavalier GL before I sold it. So I would actually leave them as what they were if I was to get this car. Oh, I really hope somebody, an enthusiast, gets this car, because it's one of those ones where it ends up at some bell-end car trader who's going and like tripled the price, or you know, some idiot goes and puts it in Facebook Marketplace just trying to get more money out of it. But yeah, I think it's a lovely looking thing. Although the early Mark III Astras you found as well, they were so basic externally. The GLS, it's got orange indicators, it's got grey bumpers. The CD had grey bumpers on it. The SRI had grey bumpers on it. Why Vauxhall went down that route to make the car look like that, I don't know. Was it to maybe differentiate it from the Cavalier? Were they thinking it was going to sort of cannibalise the sales a bit at the time? I don't know. But yeah, they definitely looked plain from the outside in comparison to the Cavalier, especially after the facelift. But yeah, let's go on to car number 4. Now, we're going a little bit more retro with this one. We've got another Astra, another 5-door, but this time it's a Mark II. Check this out, this fabulous shade of gold. It's not like sort of platinum or Rembrandt silver. This one's actually like a nice deep gold to it. It's an F registration. It's got a square Griffin badge on the bonnet. It's one of the very early facelift models being on an F just before. It's a shame it's not actually the pre-facelift model, because it would have had that one-piece bumper with the kind of waffle grille that I really like on it. I think quite a lot of other people like as well. Looks just a bit more retro. Vauxhall Astra 1989, F registration, automatic. 61,000 miles with service history, car in original condition, 2 keys, lots of old bills and receipts, interior is in good condition, no rips or tears, etc. Car runs and drives very well with no knocks, bangs or whines. Test drive and viewing is welcome. The car currently has no MOT, but cannot see a reason why it wouldn't pass. Any questions, call. It's got a phone number on the advert there. Located in Chatham. Now, where's Chatham? No way! Chatham and Rochester are literally right beside each other. We could go down there and get 2 Astras for Oh, goodness me. Why am I getting so excited about standard Astras? Well, I got a hiccup there. I'm not excited. Yeah, Astra. This one's up for £995. Now, this one doesn't have an MOT on it, but by the look of it, I mean, you should be pretty confident it would pass. I would definitely be asking the seller to MOT it. Hell, I would send him the money to go and bloody MOT it if I was that confident and certain about going to get it. Again, like the Mark III Astra GLS, this one has got a huge stack of receipts with it. It's got a whole stack of MOTs. It's got everything that you would possibly want. It's got a big stack of oil filters and things sitting with it on the back seat as well. This is a car that's obviously been cherished. I'm not sure. It must be an Astra L because it's got the same interior fabric on it as the Cavalier L has. It's the anthracite trim, which was originally black, but with fading in the sunshine, especially it being a South of England car, it has faded to a sort of grey, sort of almost purpley colour, which isn't a problem anyway. I have got a set of black SRI seats. Well, they're actually from an Astra GT convertible, sporty ones, which would go in this nicely if I was to go and change the seats on it, which I would definitely consider doing. The bumpers on it are a nice colour on it. They're not all faded. It looks like there's a tiny speck, a little mark of rust on the back of one of the arches. It's hard to see the lip on the arch on that offside there as to whether or not it's been hit with a bit of black paint. But it's pretty obvious that this Mark II Astra is in outstanding condition. It's got its original wheel trims on it, which is always a big sign that you're getting something good. My cursor there. The bumper looks like it sits. The bumper looks like it sits maybe a little bit off on one of the corners there, but that just, you can adjust them to set that up right. It's got no rust at the front of the wings anyway. I'm just in love with that gold colour. That just suits it so well. So it's not got a lot of spec on it being an Astra L. We've got that two-spoke steering wheel with the little knobbly bits on the side of it, an ugly looking thing to my mind. And it's got the standard Speedo clock assembly, no rev counter in it. It does have the Philips radio though, with the 5 presets, tape deck in it, and of course it is a 3-speed automatic, which for a lot of people would leave you running to the hills. But, oh, just look at that boot floor there. That boot floor's in immaculate condition. Yeah, now, it looks to me like that is a 1300 or a 1400. Great little engines. You'll find even hooked up to that 3-speed automatic gearbox, that'll have a decent turn of speed about it. Any of these Vauxhall engines, the 1.3 or the 1.4 carburetted engines from the 80s, and actually went on into the early 90s, amazing things. Some of them would absolutely fly. You can adjust the timing on them, and if you get them set up just right, of course they would have run on 99 octane 4-star back in the day. Get them running right with a bit of super unleaded in them. These things can surprise so many people. And one of the reasons the Bedford Astramax van got such a reputation back in the day, I think, wasn't due to the fact that it had that 1.6, 1.7 diesel engine in it. It was because of the 1.3 and 1.4 petrols, because these things could really go. So if we were to go and get this car, first off, what are we going to do with it? The novelty of that is going to wear off pretty quickly, I must say. Now the little engine, that's worth a decent bit of money because they're so rare. You know, if you've got a Nova 1.2 and you're just trying to do a kind of standard SR build, that's the thing that you want for that. I would probably take the engine out and sit on it for a little bit just in case something came up. Or I got offered good money for it. You're potentially sort of £300 for one of those engines, especially with that mileage on it. Now the automatic is going to be a stumbling block for a lot of people looking to do a build here. But the thing that makes this car interesting to me is I have the complete setup to convert one of these to manual and also fuel inject it. You may remember last year I did a video when I got a Mk2 Astra convertible GTE, stripped it for bits. So I've got the gear selector, the pedals, and I've also got the fuel tank from a 2-litre injection car. So I have got everything sitting there to convert that. I've also got the 2-litre 8-valve engine out it. So combining all that, I've got brakes for it, I've got rear discs if I needed them, probably wouldn't. Yeah, I could really easily build that car up on a tight budget into a 2-litre 8-valve sort of warm hatch sort of thing. I think I would quite like the character of the 8-valve in that one. Yeah, that's a bargain for somebody there. Definitely. Right, on to the next one. Okay, so car number 5, we're moving over onto Auto Trader for this one, and we've got a Vectra B. Now, the Vectra B is phenomenal value for money, to my mind. As you know, well, you probably know, I bought my Vectra B CDX 2 years ago now, and I paid £450 for it. One owner from new, 74,000 miles on the clock, a top spec CDX, beautiful car. I liked it so much that I went to the trouble of rebuilding it after it was badly smashed. I think they're such underrated cars in terms of the refinement and the handling, the performance. They were never considered to be one of the best cars in their class at the time, but I think they've got a lot more going for them than they were ever given credit. This Vectra is up for £1,690. It's the most expensive car on the list, but it has done 45,000 miles from new, full service history, air conditioning. It says part exchange welcome. Wonder what they would give me for a non-running Vectra C Elite. But it's a lot. I don't know if it was still satin red by that point. Lovely metallic maroon paint job, hatchback. It's got a little scrape on the front bumper, which is nothing to worry about. It's a saloon as well, which is a little bit more desirable to some people. It wouldn't concern me much one way or the other. Oh, now it does have a bit of bubbling on that arch at the back. It's got a very clean brake disc on it. The arch looks salvageable, possibly. It's got Michelin tyres on it, which is definitely a good sign. We like to see that. It's got the Armchair Double D back box on it. That's present and correct. It has got no tears in the bolster or anything like that. No collapsing, doesn't look to have any cigarette burns or anything on it. It's got the 3-spoke sporty steering wheel. You get the orange needles in the SRI as well, and the speedometer clocks. It has got the trip computer with it, which is nice, and it looks to me... Can I zoom in on this anymore? It looks to me like it's got a tape deck in it, which I find unusual for a W-Reg. Maybe it has got a multi-changer in it. But yeah, I mean, as you can see from the pictures there, this is a really clean car. Again, like most of the other ones, it's one that you can leave it as standard. This will be a fantastic car to drive. If you're sitting there going, really, a Vectra? The turning and precision in the steering on these is fantastic. If you were to go and get this car and go and romp it up through the Welsh valleys, the Yorkshire Dales, up into the Scottish borders, any way you choose, this car would put a smile on your face. I guarantee it. Coming in at £1,690, it's not expensive by any means. It's just a really nice standard example of a car which you don't see too much anymore. What does Denny think, eh? What do you reckon? Shall we get one that's equipped with a cat? What do you think? Don't stand on the keyboard. Don't stand on the keyboard. What? You've got your dinner. Well. Ha ha ha. Yes, Mr. Bond, we have been expecting you. Okay, so to wrap things up, that's 5, to my mind, fantastic bargains. You can get a lot of great car for not much money at all. Any one of those cars would do you as a daily driver. And these are cars which are going to be enjoyable to drive. They're going to be cars which are economical. They're going to be cars that are practical, you know. You could use them every day if you wanted to, pretty much. Maybe less so with the Mk2 Astra with the 3-speed automatic gearbox. That would be needing a bit of work, I think, before I was to press that into service. But if you're only using it for a little bit of commuting and you're not sitting on the motorway, again, it would cope with that no problem at all. So now my problem is I've got a sweat on because I want all of them quite badly, and I do not have the space, the money, or the time. I think I should just set up a Patreon and then you can just all send me money to buy Vauxhalls. I'm not, whatever. Okay, so let's sum up our cars. We've got a Corsa 1.5 turbo diesel, tremendous fuel economy, absolutely loads of potential for that car. That would make a great project, or you could use it as a daily driver quite happily. Next up, we've got the Astra Mark II 3-speed automatic again. A car that you probably wouldn't be able to use right out the box so much, but massive potential for a project, especially for me because I've got all the stuff lying about to go and do it. Astra GLS 1.6. I love that car. I think that's fantastic, and it's I really hope it's going to be a great classic car for somebody to enjoy and take out to shows for many years to come, or I hope it turns into a great project for somebody who does some really nice and sort of original equipment based sort of thing. Like, don't put like a Mk2 Saab engine in it and nail an intercooler into the front. It wouldn't suit that. We have got our Cavalier GLS 2-litre automatic. Loads of practicality with that car, really clean and honest example. Again, you can use that car exactly as it sits. You don't need to do anything to it at all. You could use it as a daily driver, use it as a second car. You could do a few bits and pieces to it to take it out to shows, or you could go a little bit further with it and do something interesting that hasn't really been done by fitting maybe one of the multi-valve engines onto the automatic gearbox. And of course the last one in our set was the Vectra SRI 140. Another great car, destined to start getting quite a bit of attention, I think, become a bit more of an emerging classic. Again, I think it's a car that has got loads of project potential as well. I would be really interested to see how a Z20 LEH or LET goes in a Vectra B, which is something I may return to in the future. Well, that wraps this one up. If you've enjoyed watching this, please let us know in the comments. Maybe we can do it again sometime. I'll catch you guys later.